by the time this video is released, I will sadly not be able to play in the preview event any longer. It will have ended. So I am filming some stuff ahead of time to scratch that itch, share some content after the event ends, and mostly I wanted to share the decks that I was having a lot of fun playing, the things that I was successful with. And this particular list that I'm going to share is a Heimerdinger list. This is a Heimer and Ezreal list, very spell-oriented. I know some folks were playing ones based around Pursuit to make the 30-30 creature. This is not one. This is just a more traditional control list based around spells. And we're going to go through the deck list, and then I'm going to play one game on it so you can kind of see what the deck plays like, get a feel for it, etc. I will put a deck code in the video description so that you can import this assuming nothing changes. After all, this was a preview patch, so cards might change, deck codes might change, but if they don't, you'll have the code. So Thermogenic Beam, it's a spell, so it helps Heimer and Ezreal. Chempunk Pickpocket is just a value generator, early drop. Mystic Shot, spell removal. Vile Feast, spell removal. Scourge is really here as a stabilizer. It's a great way to just gain 5 health while also either dealing 5 damage or taking out another minion. It's better than I thought it was going to be. And Eager Apprentice is very much ramp in this list because we have so many spells. I'm a huge fan of this card. Ezreal. Static Shock. This is a great way to get multiple targets in a single spell so that your Ezreals will level up faster. Heimer. Flash of Brilliance. Again, this is just upping your spell count really for Heimer more than anything. True Shot Barrage. Again, this helps out your Ezreal, more removal. Vengeance is that hard removal because you've got to have ways to deal with Fiora and those other barriered things. Progress Day is more card draw, Ruination, hard removal. And then I'm also running Plaza Guardian because we're playing a ton of spells. So this at times can become a very, very cheap 5/5. And 1 copy of the Harrowing to kind of serve as a finisher and close this out. So that's the list. We're now going to jump into a game again so that I can showcase it. Hopefully you'll see what the deck is trying to do, and we're going to do that now. Alright, so we are going into a game against Demacia and Ionia, which means it's Fiora in most cases. So we're going to throw back these. Ruination's actually not half bad to keep here. I know it sounds weird, but keeping Vengeance and Ruination is not the end of the world because we're going to store a bunch of stuff up with our spell mana. So Vengeance is, as long as you have your 3 spell mana, really like a turn 4 cast to pick off Fiora. I'm actually going to keep the Ruination as well. I know that looks like a really weird mulligan here, but even more so now with the Eager Apprentice, because we can play this on 3 right into a Vengeance on 4 as necessary. Like, that is not a problem for us really at all. Wait and see what they do here. But against, again, what I assume is going to be Fiora Shen, against that list you really need some hard removal options. And this is, again, a pretty early indicator of that you might be dealing with the barrier-heavy Fiora Shen list. We're going to poke it and make the Spiderling, because then that means it trades 1 for 1. And because we're going to play Apprentice this next round anyway, to refill this. Now, the thing that we are worried about is Deny. So we do have to keep that in mind. I expect... Oh, no Fiora. Interesting. Okay.
I'm on it.
Go ahead and
Wow,
do
did
this.
you see that?
I was just getting ready to say that I expect a early Fiora to trade into things, but maybe they don't have it yet.
Guide me. My steel is yours.
Sure, boss.
I'm actually... No, we'll wait. We want to keep making them waste barriers. I think that's worth 3 damage there. We'll just take it. So again, even though this costs 7, because of the way that the spell mana works and banking it, we're going to go into this next turn having 7 readily available. I'm just going to go into combat here as well. So we'll wait and see what they develop. If they don't play like a Fiora or a Shen, some high priority target for this, then we'll end up just playing this because this also refills our spell mana. But because we did combat first, it then defers priority. So there's the Fiora, right on time. They also do have enough technically left over for the deny, but we want to make them use it if they have it, so that we can then catch this Ruination. But you don't mess around with Fiora. If you can nuke her, you take the opportunity. All right. So far, our game plan is going kind of as expected.
By my honor, you must die.
All right. We're gonna try this, because it'll mean that a Mystic Shot can potentially take her out this next time. Like, they could use a barrier now. Oh, they're gonna use the barrier there. How interesting.
Protect and strike. I will cut you down.
They're gonna, I assume, take the challenge here. So that's one on this Fiora. But now we get to kind of play the mind games, right? We get to do this. See if they've got that barrier or denial. There's the deny. So we're going to go ahead and do this again. Again, we assume that they will likely have probably a barrier here, but we're just trying to make them use it. We want to make them use as much as they have to on basically like frivolous things. And then we're going to go ahead and play a Scourge to get some damage in and heal. They're getting pretty low on cards. They've used one deny. We're trying to... Ideally, we'd like to see a second one come out before we pop down this Ruination, or catch them when they're low on mana. Like after they've developed a board or something. But we'll go ahead and take that heal. We obviously cannot develop Heimerdinger in this particular matchup while a Fiora is on the board, for obvious reasons. We're going to go ahead and do this. We got a Harrowing out of that, okay. That's interesting.
I am one with the land. The order rewards
Okay.
its
So we are really only going to be worried about deny
honor guide me.
this next turn. Like, we're going to take a lot of damage, and then this game is entirely going to hinge on, do they have a second deny? They're 13 cards deep. Chances are actually pretty good they have a second deny here. Because they're going to be 14 cards deep. But we got to open with it. You got to do it. So this is that make or break moment, right? If they have it, then they basically just win. Because we have to pass. They can go straight to combat on their turn. If they don't have it, then this is a great reset for us.
Strike
Okay.
without worry.
We're fine with that. That's, I think, somebody who does not understand that Ruination does not care about barrier. So So it had to be deny.
Who does not know the name Laurent?
Interesting.
Oh, the sweet smell of science.
We'll play Heimer. Heimer technically survives this exchange, so they would have to buff him to get rid of that Heimer. And we have a backup Heimer now. So we're going to wait and see what that is. An ally, and them strike each other. So we're going to do this mostly because it's going to at least make the turret and make that go into our hand. So they do their damage and then they can start that combat and take out our Heimer, but we'll have developed
Run them through.
6 power worth of turrets.
Fair.
Oh, they're gonna do that and leave the Heimer. I mean, we're fine with that. It's even better. So for example, now is a great time for us to
The only holiday worth
level up our
celebrating.
Heimerdinger. We're gonna draw a bunch of cards, they'll be cheaper. We make a turret.
Rise, my creation.
A T-Hex,
Advancing collective knowledge.
which gets our Heimer leveled. They're at 14. So we can actually still try to
Happy to do whatever.
shoot for lethal here. Believe it or not. Drain 1 from a unit to summon a spiderling. Let's go ahead and do this. Because this, again, is going to make a turret for our Heimer. It's going to make this cheaper as well.
Requires just 1.21 gigahexes.
Alright. You're gonna threaten lethal and get in there. Okay, so that's it. That's Heimer against the Fiora deck. Card removal matters. If they had a deny, we probably lost there. It kind of comes down to that, but we did a great job before then of baiting out at least the first deny. It's kind of the ebb and flow of that match. Ideally, in my opinion, you'd like to see 2 denies before you play the first Ruination, but in this case it worked out, and you can, again, see what the deck is trying to do. It wants to play spells, do fun things with turrets and Heimer, and then kind of snowball at that point. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll consider subscribing and sticking around for future videos.